is the new Tier 8 heavy tank, which is free to grind in the Battle Pass special for the birthday of World of Tanks. 15 years now. Shit, that's long. Worth it to be grinded or not? We're gonna check this out immediately. First, let's talk about the base stats of that tank. It doesn't look so great first. What many people are criticizing is the armor. Of course, this tank, though it's still a heavy tank or classed as a heavy tank, has no armor, but that will not be like the advantage of a tank. If you play hull down, you can hope to luckily bounce something on that turret, but the cupolas are very, very big. This is fairly balanced, I would say. That's not a bad tank design if every tank would be kind of like this, but everything else will just go through your tank, that's pretty sure. So what does it have to make up for those disadvantages? If you look at the DPM, it's not going to be the DPM, that's for sure. It's not the greatest. With also 320 alpha damage, we got a little bit of a problem here, but this is basically where the bad news stop, in my opinion. We're gonna have 235 standard penetration, which is fairly decent for heavy tank and will be very good playable, I would say. Also, if you don't hesitate to shoot gold ammunition, you get 280, and this will be also possible to do something in Tier 9 battles. Tier 8, okay, well, it looks a little bit worse, but let's just hope not to get into these so much. The reload time, of course, it's with 10 seconds pretty long. That's why the DPM is not the greatest. The aiming time, on the other hand, this is going to be a big advantage. Together with very good dispersion values, this thing is going to be very nice to play, I'd say. I already think this could be a type of tank I would enjoy to play. The dispersion 0.35. This must be lowered to play a little bit more convenient, but you have to check out also the shell cost of this thing. With 600 per round, this thing might be a fairly decent credit grinder. 40 kilometers per hour top speed, not bad. And also it will reach this top speed pretty fast, as we're gonna see very soon. This already can be seen as we look at the terrain resistant values. Those can be lowered for soft stats pretty good, and then this thing will reach its top speed very, very fast. 10 degrees of gun depression is also a very good news. It has to kind of hide this turret as much as possible, so that's necessary for this tank. And with 1500 health points, you're not gonna be brawling that much, that's for sure, with that armor. But it's still, in my opinion, a pretty good balanced vehicle, and I think it will be enjoyable to play because of those good gun handling. So for a very fast overview, we're gonna put in some normal equipment here to see what it will make with our tank. So I put in word steps, rammer, and the turbo, and we see already the dispersion values are going to be insanely good, I would say. Also with an aiming time of 1.65, this thing will make its shots pretty good, I'd say. If we put even in the crew skills for better gun handling and so on. So with this kind of standard layout, we have already now an aiming time of 1.6, which is almost as good as the one from the KBZ 07, and very, very good dispersion value. So I think this is going to be a very fun tank to play, in my opinion, for my playstyle, I'd say. And it goes 44 kilometers per hour. You don't have to use the turbo. You could also use, in my opinion, I think the improved hardening or bounty hardening, stuff like this, for getting the health points higher, which will you desperately need. You could also dump the word steps for something else, but I don't know what would be worth it. The improved aiming device is barely doing anything, and with more view range or stuff like this, this will not be a big game changer. It's still a heavy tank, cannot hide from anything. Of course, the camo values are bad, so I don't think anything else would be such a good alternative to this setup here. So let's check out the Brennos stats when we have it a little bit better visualized. So here's the gun handling. After you drive around with around 25 kilometers per hour and you want to aim, then it's around 2 seconds until it's fully aimed. Let's put in some word steps, the rammer, and maybe also the turbo. And we can see the word steps are doing a little bit, not too much, from 2.1 to 1.8. You have to make up your mind if that's worth it for you. And of course, a little bit higher top speed can be handy in some cases. We have to put also in the crew skills here. And after that, we see it will be around 1.7 seconds until it's fully aimed. If you don't drive around stationary, it's around 1.6 seconds until it's fully aimed. So it will be a little different. So let's put in the real tryhard setup here, and just for the joke of it, see how, okay, reload time wasn't necessary, but the gun handling maybe. With also ratios, we're gonna see from 2.1 goes down to 1.5. This could be very, very cool to play with. And if you're stationary, let's see, difference from around 2 seconds to 1.4 could be cool. Also thinking about maybe frontline, this tank could come in handy because it is kind of fast and might have a decent gun. So I'd say worth trying it in frontline at least. Problem there could be the view range of 430, but not a big one, I guess. Well, still it's a heavy tank and not made for spotting or anything. So I think you would see enough even in frontline. Though you could also think about like dumping the word stats there for the optics. And finishing with a last little look about the armor. So what you can also try, which might work in some positions in random battles, is to bait out some shots of enemies if you're trying to reverse side scrape. I wouldn't count on it, but you can fairly decently like over peek here without doing a shot, of course, but just to annoy maybe the enemy. Maybe it's worth a try. Of course not if I can have a shot at that big fat thing up here, but well, why not? Why not give it a try? I think this tank is very good balanced. Wargaming actually did a nice job here, but in the end, let's see if it will be fun on the battlefield. It has to compete against all those other overpowered premiums, but for a grindable free Battle Pass tank, I think that's a great thing in the end. So I have to say Wargaming would have done a very good job here if the competition of the tank wouldn't be so extremely overpowered and hard. But in the end, that's kind of the right way where they should go, like with interesting, not so easy to play premium tanks. If it will be ever possible to balance all those other tanks, I highly doubt it, but let's see what the big September update will bring. Thanks guys for watching, and cheers bros.